Happy birthday, Coach Mike Gundy. You're still a man, and now you're 41. Hello, I'm Mike Koehler, and welcome to the Dodge Sports Desk and the latest edition of OSU Football with Scott Wright. Today, OSU Football beat writer has more than just birthday wishes for the coach. He's got the scoop on the latest news from Stillwater. But Scott, let's go ahead and talk about Coach Gundy. It's his birthday today, and you wrote this morning about how far he's come. That's our first question. What's the difference between Mike Gundy in 2008 and Mike Gundy when he first got the OSU football job?
The biggest thing is that he's a lot more comfortable in the role. You know, there were a lot of things that he had to learn being a first-time head coach. In that first couple of years, he had to kind of pick up on some things, figure out how he wanted to run his program, and those type of things. And he's got a lot more comfortable in that. All the coaches say that he has a very good monitor of the program. He understands really well when the players need a certain type of speech, when they're tired and needed maybe some time off. Things like that. Same with the coaching staff. So he's very understanding of those things, and the biggest thing I think that fans probably notice is he's more calm now than he was before, even if it doesn't show.
Despite the 3 Red Bulls a day,
right? Yeah, exactly. But that fiery competitive attitude is still there, but he does a better job of keeping that tempered, keeping that contained.
Well, let's talk about on the field for a little bit. Last Saturday, OSU had an open scrimmage that, hey, everybody got to see. How about that? A lot of eyes were on the backup quarterbacks. How did those two look, Alex Cate and Whedon? How did they look in action?
You know what? To the untrained guy, as observer that I am, that doesn't understand the inner workings of the offense. Mm-hmm. Brandon Whedon looks like a significantly better quarterback. Physically, he's more gifted. He can run a little bit. He's got that great Major League Baseball arm and the big 6'4", 220-pound body. So he looks like the better quarterback. But the coaches certainly see something in Alex Cate. He runs the offense really well. He's much more familiar with the offense because he ran a really similar offense in Utah in high school. So he's more comfortable in the offense. Whedon is still trying to reacclimate himself to being in football, and obviously this is a lot more detailed offense than what he ran at Edmond Santa Fe 6 years ago. So he's having to kind of get more comfortable and learn the offense and learn what it takes to be a college quarterback mentally, and that's kind of where he's at right now. So it's kind of those are the two things that the coaches are juggling right now, trying to figure out which way they want to go with that backup spot.
Is Whedon helped at all by his maturity? I mean, I think he's almost 41 years old by the time he graduates. Does that give him a little bit of an edge as far as poise and game presence and stuff like that?
I definitely think that it does. He's maybe a little bit more calm under pressure because he's been in more pressure situations beyond the high school level. He's definitely more comfortable in handling the media than Alex Cate is. Alex isn't bad. You can just tell with Whedon that he's used to dealing with these kinds of things, and he's a very relaxed guy, and it comes through on the field as well. And I think the coaches see that when things break down, he doesn't panic and things like that. I think that's going to be a benefit for him.
Last question of the show today, and that's a story that we're going to write later, that Andrea Cohen is going to write later in the week, and that's depth at wide receiver. Jeremy Broadway looks like he's the number 2 option. Tell me where he fits in and just kind of the depth of that position.
Well, it's interesting because Broadway is kind of the number 2 guy by default right now. Mm-hmm. Right now they have a number 1 in Dez Bryant, and they have about 4 number 3s, and they're waiting for one of those guys to really establish himself as the number 2 guy. Broadway has been around the longest, has the most experience. He's been kind of up and down throughout his career, so they need him to be a little bit more consistent. He certainly has the talent to be that number 2 guy, but so does Artrell Woods, who's coming back from obviously the devastating injury that nearly left him paralyzed about a year ago. But he looks ready to go and is almost as fast as he was before the injury. William Cole is a very talented guy and a different kind of receiver, probably more of a slot receiver type of guy. So he's most likely not going to be that opposite of Dez Bryant as the number 2 wide receiver, more of a slot guy. But they've got Damian Davis is another guy that could be a deep threat, a big 6'5" guy who can go up and get a jump ball type pass. And so they've got a lot of guys. It's just a matter of figuring out who's going to be that number 2.
Alrighty, thanks, Scott. That wraps it up for this edition of OSU Football with Scott Wright. Be sure to keep up with all the OSU news every day in the Oklahoman and with the best coverage team in the state on NewsOK and NewsOK.tv. Thanks a lot.
Sure.